man?
What's going on, Neil?
Not much. Trying to outrun this tropical depression.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of rain.
Where you at right now?
I almost, what's that?
Where you at right now?
Just south of Little Rock.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I almost went through Houston today. I didn't even know that there was a tropical depression, and something told me, nah, don't do that. And so I didn't. It's a good thing I didn't because most of the streets are flooded down there. They got over 7 inches of rain so far.
Jesus.
And that's like in 24 hours.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it floods real bad there too.
All right. Well, let's get it started quick. We got news earlier this week that Daniel Jones is going to be taking over the starting job from Eli Manning in New York. And the big question that's been coming up a lot this week is if you think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. What is your take on
that? It was time. I mean, and I think Eli come to grips with that. I saw the interview, and he understands. I mean, he was the young gun at one time, and when he took over. So, yeah, like I said, this time, Daniel Jones, if he is half of what he was in preseason, he's gonna be okay.
Right. Is Eli a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, 2 Super Bowls. I mean, you can't deny that.
Do you think?
And he had a little help from his friends, but the one year I believe they came in at 9-7 as a wild card, went to Green Bay, and handled their business.
Both years.
Was it both years? Okay, I thought so, but I didn't want to.
Both years they were 9-7, and both years they went into Green Bay and beat Brett Favre, and into Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I thought they had went to Green Bay both times, but I knew the one year they were 9-7 and in the wild card, and nobody gave them a chance. And I believe that was the year that they stopped the Patriots' undefeated season, wasn't it?
Yeah, they beat Brett Favre in the NFC Championship game in overtime. The year that they beat him in the undefeated season, and then they beat the 15-1 Packers in 2011 when they went on to beat the Patriots that year.
Yep.
Both runs were crazy. I mean, you got to give it to him. And he's top 10 in pass yards. He's top 10 in TDs all time. You can't keep that out of the Hall of Fame. And he beat Tom Brady twice in a Super Bowl, and nobody can say that. I mean, so I think he's a shoo-in. I don't even think there's a question. So.
Right. Well, and the other thing too, and Steven brought up a good point, is Daniel Jones run a pro-style offense at Duke, and Duke's head coach, I'm not sure how many people out there know this, but his coach is David Cutcliffe, who was also the quarterback mentor for both the Mannings.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, David Cutcliffe was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee when Peyton was there. And then when Eli opted to go to Ole Miss, Cutcliffe left his position as an OC and went and took the head coach job at Ole Miss and stayed there until Eli left, and then he went and took the Duke job.
Right. That's interesting. That's a tad bit of info I didn't know there.
Yep.
All right, next question. My friend Connor wants to know our thoughts on the AFC South, and if you, what we think about Adam Vinatieri, and if it's time for him to hang it up.
I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
What our thoughts were about the AFC South, and if we think Vinatieri should retire.
Yeah, Vinatieri should. He's,
46
years old. I was gonna say he's got to be like almost 100 now. He's almost as old as I am, and it ain't no joke. Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame kicker in my opinion. He made some really big kicks in his days, but yeah, and the AFC South. As far as that goes, I'm actually I'm surprised. I didn't expect the Colts to be as competitive as they were. That offensive line is the real deal. I mean, that's to me, is what's keeping them in games. And so I'm actually, I'm kind of changing, I don't think, well, obviously Jacksonville, the loss of Foles, that hurt bad. So, yeah, I think
And they're going to
those
lose Ramsey.
Yeah, those two are going to flip-flop in the division.
Yeah. So, I think for my thoughts for the AFC South, I still don't think the Colts are going to win the AFC South. I still think the Texans are going to win it, but I think both the Titans and the Colts have pretty solid teams. Brissett's played a lot better than I thought he was going to play. He's second in the league in touchdowns right now, and I know it's only after 2 weeks, but that just shows for 2 weeks he's held his own. So, I mean, you can't really knock the guy on that. I think the Titans are going to be as good as Derrick Henry can carry them because Mariota can't carry them. If he's running for 100-some yards a game, they'll win games. But if he slows down and gets stuffed, they're going to lose games.
Yeah. Colts are, this week's going to be a little bit of a test. I'm not sure on Marlon Mack's status. Last I heard, which was like an hour ago, he hasn't practiced. He didn't practice today. He's in a boot. So they said that they'll be able to determine more tomorrow. So, yeah, I went in and snatched up as many Jordan Wilkins shares as I could in my fantasy leagues, just in case, because I have.
Afterwards.
What's that?
I said I know. I kept posting bust every time you did it. But, yeah, that would be important. I mean, that's going to hurt the Colts if Mac's not there, obviously. So,
Well, Mac leads the league in carries this year so far. He's already had 45 carries.
Yeah, they're running him down. I mean, it's only a matter of time until he breaks down. He's not going to be able to handle that kind of workload. He's shown that. So, I mean, they're going to have to kind of cut that out and throw the ball a little bit more. They're going to wind up in a lot of trouble. So, all right.
Right.
Next question is from Braden. He wanted to know if you think the Saints are still a playoff team.
No. Well, hold on. That was kind of a quick draw answer. They're in trouble. I'll put it that way. The defense might be able to hold them in a few games. I haven't really looked to see what their upcoming schedule is. I know that they've got Seattle this week, and
Dallas.
I'm not. What's that?
They got Seattle, and then I think they got Dallas.
Oh yeah, so those right there are probably going to be 2 losses, just because that's a massive downgrade at quarterback. I don't know. It's not looking good. I can tell you that. If they get in, it's going to be like one of the last wild cards. In 6 games, that's a lot to come back from.
It is, but the good thing for them is they'll probably start 1-3. I think they'll lose to Seattle and they'll lose to Dallas, because without Breeze, you're not going to get that. But after that, the schedule softens up. They get teams like Arizona and the Giants and stuff like that. And then I think they have the Bears in the middle of that, but the Bears can't score. So if the Saints can't score and the Bears can't score, they could win a 6-3 game.
Right.
So I think they could find a way to possibly win that game. But, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is not the worst quarterback in the world. You could have a lot worse backups. And I think he can do enough to beat those teams that aren't very good. So I think as long as they're around 500 when Breeze comes back, they'll be all right. But the question is Breeze going to come back and be the same, though? I mean, that's, he couldn't even grip a football. Now he has surgery on his throwing thumb.
Well, yeah, and they're saying 6 weeks, whereas doctors are saying 8. So, obviously he's going to push back, and probably at that 6th week, he's going to say, I'm good to go, whether he is or not.
See that?
They've got, in this 6-game stretch, they better not lose more than 4 of them. I mean, and that is like right on the cusp, because that's going to put them, that would be too much of a hole to come out of.
Yeah, by the time he comes back, they'd be like 3-5 or something if they only lose 4.
Yeah.
So they can't lose any more than that.
I mean, this could be one of them years where the AFC South is like the NFC South is like the NFC West used to be, where somebody back doors and wins a league champ or the division title at 8-8.
Because none of those teams have been impressive. I know Atlanta did Philly, but that game was super sloppy. Like, both teams played like crap. Atlanta didn't look good in week 1 at all. Carolina hasn't looked good. Cam Newton's out. Jameis Winston can't lead a team, and the Saints and Teddy Bridgewater, that division's a mess. So,
yeah.
I mean, it really is up for grabs. So, the next question is, are the Eagles slowly losing steam, or are they just overhyped?
They're hurt. They're real hurt. I mean, Aguilar's going to be their number 1 this week, for sure. Possibly next week. I was talking a little bit with Brent Johansson, and I've been hearing 2 weeks for both of those guys. But he seems to be more on the lines of thinking that neither one has been ruled out, and Alshon may play this week. But, I mean, I don't see how Jackson plays at all this week.
Jackson's been ruled out. He's out. I got the notification.
Okay. Oh, did you? All right.
Jackson is not playing this week. So, but yeah, I can't see that. I don't know who the Eagles play next week. But if you can't, I just have trouble seeing them winning this week. If you can't run the ball on Detroit. So if your top 2 receivers are up, that's not good. So if they lose again, 1 and 2, and they have a rough schedule. Like, so I don't know exactly who's after the Lions, but I've seen their schedule and it's not pretty. Like, 1 and 2 is not a good start. Like, so.
Yeah, I think they had ended up with the 4th most difficult schedule in the NFL this year.
I believe it. I mean, obviously, you have 2 games against the Redskins, 2 games against the Giants. Those will be gimmies. They're going to get a Miami game. That'll be a gimme, but I think the rest of the schedule is brutal because by the time they play the Jets, Darnold will be back. And then the Bills look good. So,
right. Well, and to be fair, because we haven't seen Daniel Jones in a regular season game, we can't really call them Giants game gimmies at this point.
That's true. You bring up a good point.
And, Case Keenum, too, he's actually looked serviceable in Washington.
I forgot they already played Washington once, so they don't get.
Yeah, so. I mean, and Terry McLaurin, that kid's the real deal. I mean,
he looks good.
He looks real good, and he's only going to get better, barring injury. So, Washington's thing is that team for the last 4 or 5 years just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, they have no defense, so I mean, let's be real.
Right.
Stop a nosebleed. I have no idea how they shut Philly out for like the first half of that game because they can't stop anything. I'm pretty sure me and like 10 of my buddies could go out there and put at least 20 points on Washington.
I think a lot of that game was Philly came in not giving Washington their due, figuring, okay, this is going to be a cakewalk, and Washington came in ready to go.
Yeah,
I think it was a combination of that, and then when Washington punched Philly in the mouth 17-0, Philly was like, okay, well, we need to get ourselves in check here and get going.
Okay, I agree. I have nothing else to add to that. Dak Prescott, is he for real, or is he just getting lucky because of the easy schedule they've had?
2 weeks, he's for real. I think Dak's got a chip on his shoulder. Like I said last week, he's got. Oh no, I was somebody else, but Dak's got a chip on his shoulder too, and he's wanting money. He wants big money, and he didn't get it. Everybody but him got it except Cooper, obviously. But I think I think he's going to go out just balling this year because he wants that money. He wants to be the top paid quarterback in the NFL, and he's going to go out and do everything in his power to prove that he's worth it.
Like, he's completing over 80% of his passes right now, which is, I don't care who you're playing, that's remarkable. Like that's absolutely crazy. So I can't hate on him for that. Like, I'm not the biggest Dak believer. I used to be. I used to think he was going to be good, but he kind of let me down the years Zeke got suspended and made me look like a fool. So I haven't gotten back on that train yet, but he looks good. So maybe this is his year. Maybe, I mean, I know he hasn't played nobody. He's not going to play anybody this week. Actually, his numbers are probably just going to go up this week. So
yeah, well, he's got the tools too. He's just got to get this and the physical part to connect. And yeah, he can be dangerous because he's a dual threat quarterback and he's a big quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And he's got, I mean, like I said, he's got one of the best running backs in the league behind him. So you have to play the run, which leaves a lot of openings for Dak. Because if you don't play the run, Zeke's going to run for 200 yards on you. So, anyways, so next question is about the Packers. How do you feel about them? Their offense seems to be struggling a lot, but their defense seems to be holding up. So, what is your takes on the Packers? Are they a legit threat to win the division?
That defensive line has been a surprise, really. I mean, the Packers haven't been known for their defense since Reggie White was there. I mean, so yeah, I think that defense is going to keep them in some games, and until this offense, with these receivers are still young. I mean, Rodgers is still trying to figure out MVS, and he's still trying to figure out Allison. Aaron Jones is young, and something I don't understand with LaFleur. Aaron Jones balled last week. Right? Over 100 yards, 60 carries. I think he had like 4 or 5 catches and a touchdown
against a good defense.
What's that?
And against a good defense too.
Yeah, and LaFleur come out and said, "Oh well, we need to split the carries more between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones." I'm like, okay, so Aaron Jones just went out and showed you that he's good. He can actually play football, and now you're going to punish him.
This is why
I don't get these coaches' mentalities. They piss me off.
The guy wasn't even a good offensive coordinator. I don't know why Green Bay hired him in the first place. So it's beyond me. I don't understand it, but I don't see how you would want to split carries between the two of them. Aaron Jones tore it up last week. He's clearly the better of the two players. There's no dispute about that. I don't know. I don't understand it. I think Green Bay's for real. As much as I hate to say it, I hate Green Bay with everything in my body. But the defense is finally there, and that's something Rodgers has not had during his career. And Rodgers, that offense is going to click. They showed signs of it last week. The first quarter against Minnesota, they were unstoppable. Then they fell flat and couldn't move the ball. But they showed that they can do it. Now, so they just got to figure it out. It's only a matter of time before a quarterback the caliber of Aaron Rodgers figures it out. I know he was getting frustrated last week with LaFleur and the way that the offense is going. So there's a little bit of trouble there, but I think they can work it out. So the problem is that division is tough. All 4 of those teams could be above 500, and that's like almost unheard of. Like, I would not want to play in that division. So.
Well, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I mean, I called it week 1 about Jair Alexander, their DB, their corner. Kid is good. Not a couple more years, he's going to be a top 5 DB. I have a feeling just by watching him. I mean, he's only year 2, and yeah, he looks really good.
I agree. My friend Griffin is a big Packers fan, and the moment they made that pick to pick him in the draft, he had told me that kid's going to be good. And then, of course, me being an anti-Packer guy, I immediately shot it down and was like, no, he's going to be trash. But, yeah, I was wrong, unfortunately. I wish I was right, but I wasn't. Yeah, they're going to be tough to score against. They've only allowed 19 points.
Yeah, I know.
So, it's crazy. I don't even want to know what the combined quarterback rating between Trubisky and Kirk Cousins is. I don't even want to know. I'm not even going to look that up. It's awful, though. I'm just going to say that. It is awful. But, Stefan just asked a question on here, and I don't want it to get buried. So, Jimmy Garoppolo has a perfect passer rating in play action this season. Is he having a good year, or is he just a big phony?
I mean, we really don't have a large sample size because of his injury last year, but I would have to believe the system he came from, and I know that you hate that team, but I mean it's a tried and true system. It works, and I don't think that they would have kept him around there as long as they did if they didn't feel that he was a good backup or somebody that could come in and fill in for Brady. But when they got offered, got their offer from San Francisco, they couldn't refuse that either. That was just too good of an offer. So, but I think he's for real. Big, tall, strapping kid, got a great arm, accurate. He's not mobile, but he gets the job done back there. He goes through his progressions relatively quickly. He's got a decent offensive line blocking for him to keep the pocket clean. He's got a great running game. His receivers, he's got a great tight end. His receivers need to step up. I don't know what happened with Dante Pettis, but yeah, I think he's for real.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. He looks good one week and the next week he doesn't look good, because if you go back to week 1, he didn't beat Tampa Bay. His defense beat Tampa Bay. He didn't play particularly well in that game. I would have to go back and look at numbers, but I don't think he played very well that week. Now last week he was lights out. Like, it just seems like it's a teeter-totter with his performances. He definitely has the ability to be a good quarterback, but he's got, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people are going to give me shit about this, but I think he's got the best tight end in the league. But he doesn't utilize him enough. Trust me, I know he's not one of my fantasy teams. And actually, Stefan just said the same thing down here in the comments.
Yeah.
So, I think he needs to utilize him more. I think he needs to utilize Goodwin more too, because Goodwin is fast, and now you could hit him with the way that your running game is. The running game there is good. Play action, deep to Goodwin would work a lot, and they just don't seem to have that in their playbook at all. And it's like, all right. But, I mean, he makes things happen. He definitely shows he got the intelligence level of a good quarterback. He's careful when he makes his throws. The only problem is I think sometimes he's a little too cautious. But
just to touch on what Stefan just said, I'm thinking that part of Jimmy G's problems for week 1 was that Tampa Bay's defense is actually a little bit better than what people were giving them credit for.
Yeah. Yep. So,
they had a good draft and drafting kid from LSU, Devin, the other Devin. Was it Devin White?
Devin White, yes, the linebacker.
Yeah, Devin White. Okay.
He okay? He left.
What's that?
Left the game last week injured, and I don't remember reading anything about his status.
Yeah, I haven't heard, but I'm talking about week 1. I mean, Devin White had a good game week 1.
He did.
Excuse me. That D line is actually pretty active, and so yeah, I mean, I think their defense is a little better than what people are giving them credit for. So I think that was part of Jimmy G's problems week 1. That, and it's just week 1.
Right.
Everybody's got week 1 rust.
Yeah, and it's good to see him play well last week, because he had an atrocious preseason. So I just want to say I've never seen a preseason that bad before. So I'm kind of glad to see him rebound, because people in San Francisco were not liking his preseason. So it's good to see him bounce back, get all those kinks out there in the games that don't matter, and that just shows you that preseason does matter, guys. To some people. Okay, so to those that have been regular season passes off preseason. Will Miami win a game this year?
No.
That's a very simple answer.
And this kind of takes me back to the whole worst NFL team versus the best college team. It would be close. It would be closer than people think. I mean, the NFL team would probably win, but it would be a lot closer. If you're talking about this Miami team right now, come on, man.
I don't see. The difference is look, you take Alabama or Clemson, pick either one you want to, right? And they got like 10 guys that are NFL caliber, right? Well, as much as they suck, there are 53 NFL caliber guys in the Dolphins. Okay, 53, 10.
They don't have, but maybe 4 or 5 NFL caliber players. They're getting rid of all their good players. See, I mean, that team is that could be. They are on pace. I just heard early in the week. They are on pace to be the worst team in NFL history. Worse than the 0-16 Browns. Worse than the 0-16 Lions. Worse than the 0-14 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. If you took the rosters of all 3 of those teams and put them against Miami, I still think they win by double digits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
100% believe that this is the worst team I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure I publicly said that last week, that I've never seen a team this bad. And I think Dallas just set the record for, it's not final yet, but when it gets to Sunday, they might set the record for biggest point spread in the history of the league in this game that they're going to play this weekend. Like, they're like 24-point favorites. It's nuts.
So. Yeah, they and the other thing too is a lot of them guys have already quit. They're not trying out there. And they, there's been several players, they didn't come forward with their name, but there have been several players with under anonymity. Almost, I was working on that word. Under anonymity. I said under anonymity. See, now I can't say it again. They were anonymous, but they were saying we aren't even trying. They're taking plays off.
I mean, they can try, take plays off, whatever. They're not going to win any games anyway. So,
right.
They can say what they want to say. But
I see Kendrick Drake being gone soon.
No, they already said they're exploring trades for him.
Yeah.
So, he needs out of there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where he would.
Never respected him enough, but
yeah, I'm trying to figure out where he would go, but I haven't been able to figure that one out yet.
Tampa?
Oh, yep, duh. Right there in state.
By the way, Stephen thinks Miami would beat any college team by a mile. They outsize them.
They've already quit.
Yeah, but in that game, they would try. They'd be like, we ain't let no college team come in here and beat us. And that's true. Okay, the next question is, were you surprised by the Lions' victory over the 12-4 Chargers? Leave bias at home.
Well, was I surprised at the victory over who?
Over the 12-4.
Oh, Chargers?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, I picked the Chargers to win, and I know we kind of discussed this, amongst ourselves, but Chargers came in banged up. I know the Lions are banged up, but they were banged up at key positions. It's the key positions that the Chargers were banged up in. And I mean, the Lions had a good game plan with doubling Bosa and making it hard for him. And then, the other side of the line obviously handled Ingram for most of the game. But I don't know, man. I don't see the Lions. I see them. They've improved, which I guess is saying something, but they aren't. They're not a playoff team.
Well, we'll get back to that topic after this weekend. But I'm going to say that I'm not shocked because this is how the Lions are, right? The Lions lose to teams like Arizona. I'm surprised they didn't lose that game, to be honest with you, because that's the MO of the Lions, right? They lose to teams that they're supposed to beat. They beat teams they're not supposed to beat. So I'm not shocked they beat them. I told everybody they were going to beat them because that's what they do. Like, that's what they do. They win games they're not supposed to win, like they did against New England last year. But it was a combination of the Lions played a fairly solid defensive game with a lot of offensive mistakes and a lot of luck from the Chargers. So it wasn't like the Lions went out there and dominated. There was a lot of luck. The Chargers had 2 touchdowns called back on penalties on the same drive, and then on that same drive they still got to the 1-yard line, and Eckler made the mistake of trying to jump over the pile again, never jump over the pile 2 times in the same game, okay? Because the team knows it's happening the second time. So he tried to do it again, and Tavai jumped up there and hit the ball out. Like, I mean, that was just a mental mistake. You never should have tried that a second time. It worked beautiful the first time. You should have ran straight into the end zone. Giant mistake.
Yeah, I didn't. Obviously, unfortunately, didn't get a chance to watch that game because I was in transit from up north. So I got stuck with whatever NFL network on my phone gave me, which was Vikings and Packers.
Right, which was a solid game. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's. I mean, I wouldn't. I've told Lions fans this past week not to get too excited. If they beat the Eagles this weekend, we'll revisit that subject because they never win in Philly. So if they can do that, that'll be something we can talk about. But as of right now, chillax. A victory's nice, but let's not get hyped up here. Let's see. What's the next one? What are your thoughts? Who will have the better season, Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz?
Who has a better season?
Yes.
Dak. Dak, he's got better weapons. Obviously, he's got a way better running back. There's no doubt about that. I think Cooper and Gallup combined are a better combination than Jeffrey, who really is more of a possession receiver now.
Yeah, and going downhill now. He's not in his prime.
Yeah, and he can't stay healthy. And then this Devin Smith kid kind of come out of nowhere. Actually, I think he's been in the league for a little while and got himself in some trouble. But Dallas seems to find them types of players. They had Pac-Man for a while, and that Shane Ray kid. These kids that get in trouble, and Dallas seems to get them straightened out for a little while. For the most part, I mean, there's a couple they couldn't help, like Greg Hardy, but
right. Right.
And hey, Mike Miller, dogs or sun shines on a dog's ass every now and again. So,
he's had a good first 2 games, Neil. But keep going.
But I think Dak will, because Dak's got something to prove too. Dak wants, like I said, it's all about that money. Dak wants that money, and Wentz has already got his money.
Right. I agree. I also think Dak, and I don't know if Brent's watching right now, but he'll watch it eventually, and I know he's not going to be happy about it, but a lot of it, not only do they have a better running game, and they have a lot of breakout receivers, but they're healthier. And that's a big key too.
Yep.
And you can't expect Wentz to thrive and have a great season throwing to Nelson Aguilar. Okay? Like, you can't. He's not trustworthy. Like, he's definitely not a number 1. And then, Mac Hollins is your number 2? He's terrible. So if these guys can't stay healthy, he's in trouble. And they don't utilize Ertz like they should in that offense. So the running game is non-existent. I just told Brent this the other day. He was all hyped up on Miles Sanders, but he has not done anything. He's averaging like under 3 yards a carry, and that's awful. So
I think you're probably going to see a little more of him this week. Just because, I mean, they got to unleash him. I just think you're going to see more touches and probably more in the way of receptions as opposed to carries.
I think that's the better way to go, because I don't know if they're going to, like I said, Detroit, you can't run the ball against them. So I don't know if it's like this is going to be the game you're going to see him break out rushing. If they could throw some screen passes out there, they're not very good at covering a screen. So I feel like they could get a lot of usage out of that more than they would running the football right up the gut, because that's not going to do anything.
Well, no.
So we'll have to see. I'm not impressed by what I've seen from him so far, but it's only 2 games, so obviously I'm not sold on my opinion on him by any means.
Yeah.
I like him improve because he has not impressed me yet.
Yeah. Well, did you know that he was actually a higher rated recruit coming out of high school than Saquon was?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that on our our first podcast that we did. You mentioned that. I couldn't believe when you said that. That's nuts. Yeah, I don't see where the hell they would ever rate him higher than Saquon for, but
Right?
I guess they're not right 24/7, right?
Yep. Hey, I want to answer this question by Stefan real quick. Derrick Henry over or under 100 tonight? I'm going to say under. I think Jacksonville's defense is for real. They're good. They're going to make Mariota beat them.
Bro, do I have to remind you of the run last year against Jacksonville? He's just getting where he just pushed Jacksonville's entire defense right down the field.
Yeah,
Right?
and that was last year. This is this year. Defense has changed dramatically.
Yeah, they're dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional. That's what they are right now.
No.
Well, Jalen Ramsey
No.
there, and he's the heart of the defense.
They ain't going to be running to Josh Allen's side, that's for sure.
Maybe not, but Henry's a beast.
Is Lewan back yet?
I actually haven't heard anything, to be honest with you. Stefan
Didn't he get 4 games? I thought he got 4 games.
So,
Well, yeah, he's not back yet. I didn't think he was.
No, he said no. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Week 5 he comes back. I thought it was 4 games, but I didn't want to say it and look like an idiot. So
Right. So what do you got next?
Who's gonna win the Jalen Ramsey trade?
Right now, it's looking like Philly. Everything I've read.
My Vikings made a strong offer today, so I'm really hoping it comes through. I was so hyped when I read it. I got the notification from Bleacher Report that there were 6 teams that made mega offers, and the Vikings were one of them. And man, if they get Jalen Ramsey, they're gonna have the best defense in football. So,
but how are they gonna play them all?
I mean, how are they gonna play them all? He's gonna play one side. Rose's gonna play the other. Wayne's is gonna have to He's gonna have to take a step back.
You know what?
Lots of depth.
You know what? I don't care as long as the Browns don't sign him, because that's a lot of diva and drama that I don't even want my team dealing with. He's not worth the money.
Yeah, see, my team doesn't have that, so I'm okay with one diva.
Yeah.
But I think the Chiefs are gonna get him. I think the Chiefs will win this trade. They're gonna push. They need defense. They're gonna push this thing to go. They'll give up anything they can to get him. So
yeah, he's a defensive Terrell Owens.
He really is. He's nothing but a drama queen. But so actually, Bovada's got him favored to stay in Jacksonville, which was crazy to me because in my head he's pretty much gone.
Yeah. Well, he's already. I believe he's already removed all his contacts off his IG.
Yeah, and he followed a bunch of Eagles players. I've seen that.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm leaning more towards the Eagles.
So, all right, next one. Who will be the first team to lose in the NFC West? The 49ers, Rams, or Seahawks?
Probably Seahawks. I think that the other 2 teams are just better.
Okay. The Rams are going to be the first one to lose because I bet on Cleveland Sunday night. So, they're going to lose first because the Seahawks got a breezeless New Orleans, and I don't. Who the hell does 49ers play?
They have Pittsburgh at home.
I knew it wasn't anybody good. Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
A Ben Roethlisberger-less Pittsburgh team.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose. Seattle's not going to lose. The Rams are getting upset in Cleveland Sunday night. So
yeah, see, I wanted to go with my boys, but I can't.
Well, at least you're not being biased. I picked them just because I feel like at some point, like, first of all, I don't know if you've seen Cleveland's next 5 games. Did you see their schedule?
Yeah.
Okay, they got 2-0 Rams, and I don't know the order. The order is correct, so don't quote me on the order. But these are the next 5 teams: 2-0 Rams, 2-0 49ers, 2-0 Seahawks, 2-0 Ravens, 2-0 Patriots. Okay, they got to beat somebody here.
Oh, they will, but it's not going to be the Rams.
2 of those games are on the road. I don't like that. Okay, they got to
Right.
home games. They got to beat the Rams. They got to beat the Patriots. They got to beat Seattle in Cleveland because they're not going on the road. They're not going to win the Baltimore game. They're not going to go into Baltimore and beat Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean,
They might be Cleveland.
yeah, I had high hopes for them this year, but that first game just kind of put a big old slap of reality across my face. I mean, I think they can still make the playoffs. I don't. I mean, unless Baltimore gets really hurt, I don't see them beating Baltimore for the division. I mean, I've talked to people who are fans of other teams in that division, and they're all saying the same thing. Baltimore's freaking for real.
Hey, pump the brakes on Baltimore. They've played Miami and Arizona. We'll find out. We'll find out Sunday about Baltimore. Okay, if they get blown out, I don't want to hear no more Baltimore talk at all. Okay, because we're gonna find out about Lamar Jackson because he's gonna have to score, and score, and score, and score, and score this weekend. So the problem with the Browns, you don't know what team you're gonna get because they did get blown out in Tennessee. But then they went and blew out the Jets in a game. They still didn't look that good, to be honest with you. If we're being completely honest, they were just lucky they were playing the Jets. But I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The Browns are going to take a little time to click, okay? Because they got all these superstars. It's like, I don't know how big of a basketball fan you are, but it's like when LeBron and Bosh and Wade went to Miami, right? They were like 500 at the All-Star mark, right? There's no way that those guys should have been 500 at the All-Star mark, right? It's going to take a minute. But once they get clicking, it's going to take one big victory. If they can beat the Rams Sunday night, watch out. Okay, because when they get that first victory where they believe in themselves,
right,
it's over. Like they will not slow down. And
right.
it might not be Sunday night, but I'm just saying they're going to beat a team that's good, and that's when it's going to gel.
Well, and Stefan brought up a really good point. I mean, the penalties, and granted, yeah, there's been over 25, but 18 of them were the first week. So, I mean, they kind of chilled out on the penalties a little bit last week. There were still too many for my liking. And, the other thing, too, is they were playing a Sam Darnold-less, C.J. Mosley-less New York Jets. And then they took oh man, why am I drawing a blank on Jets backup quarterback?
Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, Siemian. They took Siemian out early.
That was the best thing that happened to the Jets.
Right.
Like for real, the dude had 3 yards, like in the middle of the second quarter. Like the backup quarter looked a lot better than
well, they did say that Luke Falk is more familiar with that system than any of the other 2 quarterbacks. Because he was with Gase down in Miami as a backup.
That's possible, but I mean, how as a backup, right? I mean, how much work did he really get in the system? Backups don't get a lot of snaps.
Right. Well, he's been in the league for, I think this is his 3rd year now. So
I think they also said that was his first game ever being on an active roster, too.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, okay, you're active today, and now we need you. Like, it's like what?
Right.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, does Kansas City have what it takes to finally get over the hump this year?
Kansas City, you said?
Yes, because they always seem to I think what he's trying to say is they always, no matter how good they are, because even before Mahomes, they've been a good team with Alex Smith. They were very good still, right? So they've always seemed to fall just short.
Oh, Mahomes is a whole nother level. I think, is as close to as a player that you just can't defend, kind of like Randy Moss was back in the day. You couldn't defend the dude. And Mahomes, I'm beginning to believe, is almost the same thing, only he's playing the pivotal point on the field, which is quarterback. He's the guy that handles the ball all the time, distributes it. Thing with Kansas City is their lack of defense.
Yeah, that's a huge mark against them. That always is, and that's why I tell everybody all the time when Mahomes has a bad game, they're going to lose.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say no because I just don't believe in that defense unless they do something dramatic at the trade deadline.
So here's something that's crazy: is Mahomes had all those yards and TDs last week, right? In the first, third, and fourth quarter, he did nothing against Oakland.
Right.
Like it's crazy what he did in one quarter, but I also applaud Oakland for being able to find a way to shut him down for 3/4 of that game, because there are fans who are like hardcore Kansas City fans that'll say they toned it down. Well, I have NFL Game Pass, right? So you can watch the condensed versions of these games in like 30 minutes. Okay, so I watched the Oakland Kansas City game. They didn't tone anything down. They were throwing the ball all over the place, right? But the thing, Oakland found a way to stop them, so it's stoppable. Like I don't know what they did, and I couldn't figure it out on tape. I was watching it. I couldn't. I don't know what, but Mahomes was struggling outside of the second quarter, and it was impressive, honestly. And Oakland just probably wishes they had that second quarterback or had some offense, because
right,
like the fact that they couldn't tear up that Kansas City defense is sad. I lost a lot of faith in Oakland because I was high that this was going to be Oakland's year to make the playoffs, but maybe they need another year. But they're clearly better than they were last year, but they may need another year yet. But I don't think Kansas City's going to win the AFC either. Just Brady's too good when it counts.
Well, and, and this whole semblance of pieces kind of takes you back to the 16-0 regular season team. They're getting all these pieces put together. They got AB. As long as he stays there for the year, there's something going on there, in my opinion.
Something's brewing.
There's a little bit of smoke, and where there's smoke, there's
fire. Right.
Right. The Nike pulling that endorsement deal. There's something going on.
And 2 days ago, the helmet company that he fought so hard for dropped him. Right. So,
yep.
Like and if you drop somebody after they just fought for you their entire off season,
yeah, there's something going on.
Something's happening.
I'm sure. Well, they did have that meeting with that girl earlier this week, so
that's when the sponsors started dropping it.
Yep. So something's up. I'm kind of leaning that he's going to end up on the exempt list pretty soon.
Like I said, I hope it's before week 5. That'll benefit me. All right. Is Lamar Jackson coming around in his second season, or is it scheduled?
No, he's coming around. I mean, he got a little sloppy last week, but he's definitely better. You can tell by just if you watch him and watch how he was throwing the ball last year, it was more of a shot put motion. This year, it's more over the top, smooth, fluid, with a nice follow through. Last year, he didn't. I mean, he had very little follow through to it, even on his deep ball. So, yeah, he's coming around, and he's still young. I mean, you wait till year 4 or 5. I have a feeling, as long as the kid keeps progressing, stays healthy, and does what the coach is telling him, he's gonna be sick. With that speed, he's going to be sick.
Yeah, if he plays this way, I can't deny that. But this is where I'm at. As I told you last week, I was starting to lessen up my view that he wasn't a good, accurate thrower, right? But I told you no matter what he did this week, it wasn't going to change my opinion yet. But Kansas City, okay, I know they don't have a good defense, but you're going to have to put up points. You are going to have to carry your team on your shoulder. He does not have to win this game to win me over here. He's just got to lose by a touchdown or less. If he can do that to Kansas City, kind of like he did last year, but that was more defense. But if he can score with Kansas City, then I might be a believer here, because he's going to have to lead them to victory. Because that defense people may say that defense is still good, but there's no way it's as good as it was last year. Like, these guys are still young, so they're going to make young mistakes out there. So there's no way that defense is as good as it was. So he's going to have to will them to victory.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, they definitely got the fastest receiver on the field, even if Tyreek was there. I think Hollywood Brown is faster than Tyreek.
I could beat Hollywood in a foot race. I'm trolling.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been going down to the corner dispensary, haven't you?
No, that dude is fast. It's unbelievable how fast he is.
Yeah. And then you got Mandrews. I mean, he's just a beast. He's wow. That guy is awesome. And I was kind of on him this year during the draft, and I didn't get him in as many spots as I wanted because I kept telling myself I'm going to wait next round, and he was still there, and he was further down on the list. I'm going to wait, and then somebody would drop down and snipe me, and so I only ended up with him in I think one league. But no,
I don't one league too. Definitely a beast. And another thing that benefits Baltimore is that they have 3 solid running backs. Like, so doesn't matter. They can just continue to plug and run, and all of them can stay fresh because no matter what, they just one after the other, and you can't stop any of them. So it's like, what in the hell is going on here?
Right.
So that helps Lamar too. Like, if you got a good run game, the defense can't just play pass. Like, they're not expecting you to just throw the ball all the time. You know, it's not like a Matthew Stafford thing from his entire time in Detroit where they just play the defense all back because they know you're going to throw the ball. You know, it really helps out a quarterback when you can have that kind of production from your running game.
Right.
So, who do you think is the front runners in the AFC and the NFC?
New England and it would have been New Orleans for me. Had Breeze and I got hurt, but so yeah, I'm gonna have to pivot on that, and I'm gonna have to say Green Bay. I hate to, but I'm telling you, they're not even scratched the surface of what they're gonna do on offense. The defense is keeping them in games, and short of the Dalvin Cook 75-yard run, they actually played a pretty good game defensively. If it hadn't been for that one run, he wouldn't have been over 100 yards for the game. And Kirk Cousins,
he's still
sorry. I know this is your team, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to do this just because you know me. I'm honest. I'm straightforward. I don't pull no shit.
That's it.
Cousins has played like a dumpster fire. He's off the mark on his passes, unless it's fucking short pass that I could hit. How many times did he overthrow Diggs?
Okay, first of all, he had a beautiful 50-yard touchdown throw to Diggs. Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, one out of what?
They don't matter. He had one. Okay, so
no. Answer the question. One out of what? How many attempts did he go over 20 yards? And how many of those did he overthrow by a country mile? That Randy Moss couldn't even got to.
Pretty much all of them, except the beautiful one to Diggs. But you couldn't have thrown a better ball than Diggs. So here,
Cousins looks like trash.
Okay, so here's my thing with Cousins is that he's not a bad quarterback, but he's very inconsistent. One game he looks like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and the next week he looks like he shouldn't play in the league. And you can't have that. Okay, because if the Vikings got him to play consistently well, nobody would beat that team. That is the truth. Okay, that's what they're lacking. And it needs to happen.
I know he's your quarterback, but I have my reasons for hating him. I've hated him ever since he was wearing that gross ass color green and white come out of East Landfill.
I don't like Michigan State either. So I mean,
I've wished him nothing but ill will ever since.
He beat us four times.
I know. That's why I hate him. I can't stand him, and I don't know. He looks way worse than what he ever has, in my opinion, as far as his accuracy goes. He was actually a very accurate quarterback when he was in Washington.
Okay, so, all right, so my NFC team to beat, I mean, I think the best roster in the NFC is the Vikings, but until they can get consistent play out of their quarterback, I'm not going to take them into that category. I think, as much as I hate to say this too, because I hate this team, I think it's the Cowboys. Dak's playing out of his mind, and that was their big question mark. The defense is great. The running game is great. They found wide receivers that I've never heard of before that are making plays all over the field. It's remarkable. Cooper is playing to a point that nobody knew about while he was in Oakland, right? Like, this Cooper didn't exist in Oakland, and they did something with him that I don't know if they just built his confidence or what. It looks really good since coming out of the
Right.
I
Right.
think they have all the pieces, and I think Dallas right now is the team to beat in the NFC.
Yeah, they're my 1B, and it's like really close between them and the Packers.
Yeah, I had Chicago and New Orleans were my two going into the season, but that's drastically like.
Mine too.
So
I had Chicago winning the North, and I had New Orleans winning, and Trubisky looks like he's taken not just a step back, but it looks like he's went all the way back to high school. And
so you froze, Neil.
Yeah, somebody keeps messing around on sleeper. I forgot to turn it off.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, like you said, Kirk Cousins has played bad. I mean, Trubisky doesn't even have a touchdown pass. So like.
Oh yeah. Trubisky to me is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and I'm counting backups that are playing.
Whoa. Worse than the NFL?
He's got the worst passer rating right now.
Wait, no, there's no way his passer rating is worse than Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick isn't a starter.
Okay, well, you said including back. Oh, you said backups that are playing. Never mind, I misheard you. I just had to rethink.
Yeah, backups that are starting.
Fair enough. Okay. Then I think I have to agree with you. I'm trying to go through my head. Bridgewater's way better than Trubisky. The only one I don't know about really is Falk.
Well, I don't know that I mean, his is going to be too small of a sample size, in my opinion. But Trubisky is just and what cracks me up is they jumped so high to go get him, and they left Watson and Mahomes on the table.
Well, they only moved up one spot, but it's what they gave up to move up.
Well, that's what I mean. They gave up a lot to get him, and they left the two best quarterbacks on the table.
And the team they traded up with, I don't remember what team it was, but I remember they said right afterwards that they weren't even going to take Trubisky. So they didn't even have to move up.
Right.
They could have stayed and not lost anything and still
if I was the owner of that team, I forgot who their general manager is, I'd fire his ass tomorrow. If Trubisky, this coming Monday, if Trubisky comes out looking like a pile of what your dog would leave in the backyard, I would fire his.
Yeah, because Washington's defense is putrid, so if you can't do anything against them.
Yep.
I mean, like, this is your chance. So.
Yep.
You don't play Miami, so this is like your best chance to really show that you can play. Okay, because if you can't score on Washington, get out of the NFL.
Yep.
Like period. So I knew that this kid. I liked him when he came out of college. I liked his film, but when he went on Gruden's QB camp when that was still a thing, right? And he asked him what a hard count was, and he didn't know. And what? I have never played quarterback in my life, and I know what a hard count is.
Right.
Come on, man.
I think you're just below average NFL fan knows what a hard count is.
Yeah, right. That's what I was just saying. Like, that's bad. Do you think? So next question. You think Mason Rudolph takes the starting job from Ben Roethlisberger?
I'm sorry, I had a truck pull up next to me. His air brakes.
Said the next question is: do you think Mason Rudolph can take the starting job from Big Ben?
Well, that's up to Big Ben, really.
He's coming back.
Yeah, that's what he says now. But if this kid takes off and he understands, by watching him that I can't compete like that anymore.
Well,
who says he doesn't hang it up?
quite frankly, I don't feel bad for him. When I heard that they drafted Rudolph and he refused to help him, like
Yeah.
like to me that was like, man, fuck you. I hope to God this kid like takes your job.
Yeah. Big Ben's a piece of garbage on and off the field. He is.
You know, but the thing is that like he's always painted like he's this good guy because of the problems with AB
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And I don't doubt that AB had started problems with Big Ben. I don't doubt that at all. But I also don't doubt that Big Ben was not a problem too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't feel bad for this guy. And if he hangs it up, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay, like no question about it. He's got nothing left to prove. I'm tired of listening to his whiny attitude. I prefer if he just hung it up and we all just remember that he was a good quarterback.
Right.
Hey, because
No, I think Mason. No, I think Mason Crosby is going to be, or I'm sorry, Mason Rudolph. I'll put Mason Crosby. I'll put Mason Crosby.
careful
Wow.
to take your job.
Yeah, they're gonna put a kicker in a quarterback, and no, I think Rudolph is going to be all right because he's got a familiar face in that offense. And James Washington, those two played. They were actually roommates in college, so you know there's a connection there, and the chemistry between him and Juju will come over time. And I think so. I think these next couple weeks it's going to be more James Washington than it is going to be Juju, just because of the familiarity between the two.
Right. No, I agree with you. So that's about the most that I have for that subject. No, let's see. Where's the? Okay, so here's the subject. I couldn't wait till I got to this question because I read this question earlier, and it was kind of. I'm gonna rephrase the question. I'm not gonna read it how it was because it was kind of put in like a troll type answer, but the question is still like legit. So, should quarterbacks take full blame for their quarterback not winning football games? And I would appreciate it if you let me take this one first because I've been waiting for a long time. Okay.
Go for it.
I hear nonstop all the time, and I wish Stefan was still on right now because I know he has a lot to say about this, but he had to write a paper, so he had to get off. But really wish I would have talked about this when he was on there because he's on my corner in this. Quarterbacks all the time get blamed. He can't win games. He doesn't win big games. He doesn't. He's got a losing record. He can't win primetime games. He can't do all this stuff. Like, I'm tired of that shit. Like, the quarterback is only one guy. You pay 53 guys to play a football game, okay? I'm going to use one for example because I know you don't like Cousins, right? And he gets the blame for this terrible, like, record he's got against winning teams, right? He went out against the Rams on the road last year in prime time, threw for 400 yards, threw 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had a quarterback rating on 151, and they lost the game. And people still like, oh, he can't beat winning teams. Like, how does he get the blame for that? The defense gave up 45 points. Like, at some point in time, there are other things that happen. Stafford's had it happen numerous times in Detroit where the dude has literally carried his team on his shoulders down, scores a touchdown with 3 minutes to go, and the defense just blows it, goes down the field, and they score a touchdown. Like, and I can't get over the fact that they get 100% of the blame. Just like I don't think they should get 100% of the credit. Like, the Eli beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. No. The Giants beat Eli twice, or Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. The Giants, I should say the Patriots beat the Giants beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl. It's not beating one guy. And I hear that too much, and I just want to say that we got to cut that out. Like, quarterbacks are a very big key to your team, but they are not solely responsible for wins and losses. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks that don't win games. Drew Brees missed the playoffs like half the time he's been in New Orleans. Maybe I might be a little off on that, but there was a big chunk in the middle. Like, he made it in like 2011, and then he missed in 2012. He made it in 13, and then I don't think he made it again until the Minneapolis Miracle season 2 years ago. And are you trying to tell me that Drew Brees was trash? Get out of here. Drew Brees still played just as good as Drew Brees ever played. He didn't have help. His defense was like 32nd in the league every year. Like, you can only do so much. And I don't know what your opinion is on this because I have not discussed this with you, but I've been waiting to kind of rant on this a little bit because I cannot. Every time I argue with football fans, it's this guy can't win games. This guy's better than this guy because he's got a record. Like, I don't know how many times I heard, and I know Lamar's better now, but when people were arguing about Lamar Jackson being the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks last year because he won games, and it's like, okay, he had a great team with a great defense. Like, that doesn't make him better than some of these other guys that lost. Like, he may be, but that's not winning games is not the reason for that. Vince Young won 65% of his games as a starting quarterback. I think it was more than that, between 65 and 70. The guy was garbage, okay? Straight garbage. He was not an NFL quarterback. And so I would love to hear your take on this, and I'm sure the people who watch this would love to hear your take on this because there's going to be people that watch it disagree with me. But if the quarterback is all that matters for your team, then a team's going to save a lot of money by cutting 52 other guys. So, I mean, just play one-on-one if that's the thing, then.
Well, I mean, I've told you, a couple times now since we've been doing this that I believe the most important position on the football field is the offensive line. Without the offensive line, you can't run the ball, you can't pass the ball. Quarterback can. I mean, most of them DNs are going to beat the ball to the quarterback without anybody blocking for him. As far as the quarterback does get all the blame and they get all the credit. I mean, Jim Kelly, this is probably going back before your time, but he took Buffalo. Okay, he took Buffalo 4 straight Super Bowls, didn't win a one. And he had them in position to win, a couple of them, but Scott Norwood, for whatever reason, just decided that, I'm gonna, and he was a good kicker too. That's the thing that kind of blew me away when I watched that game. It's like, what the hell, dude? You're a good kicker. How can you miss that? So I don't think quarterbacks should get all the blame. I don't think they should get all the credit. How good would Patrick Mahomes be if you or and I were out there running routes for him?
Yeah.
How good would the team be?
Right.
He's got to have them receivers. He's got to have that running game. He's got to have that offensive line to block for him and give him a clean pocket. Breeze is a great example because Breeze is not the tallest guy in the world as far as quarterbacks go. I think there's only been like 1 or 2. No, actually, I think 2 or 3 quarterbacks that were actually smaller than him, and that's Kyler Murray, Doug Flutie, and I know there's somebody else, and I'm not thinking of him right now, but Fran Tarkenton. You got to have a good offensive line. You got, they got to make that pocket for you when you're going to drop back to pass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I disagree wholeheartedly with anybody who says, "Oh, well, he lost the game," unless he obviously.
Unless he literally was the reason you lost the game.
Right. Like Scott Mitchell in 90, I can't remember. It was in the 90s. Scott Mitchell threw the 5 picks in the first half against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia during the playoff game. And then
card game. 90.
Yeah.
What, 95?
Well, I want to say 95, but wasn't for sure, But then when old Big Buck there pulled him out of the game and put the backup in, and Mitchell standing on the sideline, I remember this plain as day. I'll never forget it. You can read his lips. Why? It's like, you dumb son of a bitch. Are you serious? You were seriously asking me why right now? You just threw 5 picks.
Right. Obviously.
So yeah, but that is an extreme case. That rarely happens.
Right.
To that point, but it takes 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and 11 on special teams to win a game.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't like.
Everybody's got a job to do, and if one person doesn't follow their assignment or do what they're supposed to do, the whole thing just kind of crumbles.
Yep, I agree, and it's just I'm sorry I had to rant for a minute, but that's just one of those things that just irked me because I get into arguments about people all the time with it. Like I don't give a shit what your record was. Like, it's just another thing. Like, somebody said Eli shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because his record was 116 and 116. Like, okay, bro, the record or the Hall of Fame is an individual accomplishment, right? Your team record shouldn't matter. What did he do individually in this league, right? top 10 touchdowns, top 10 passing yards. He's in.
I'm good.
That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't he like 6th overall in passing yards,
7th,
something like that?
7th and 8th in touchdowns. Like, so
Okay.
gotta put him in. And there's no way you can't justify not putting him in. There's no way.
No.
You can argue he might not be first ballot, but you can't argue that he can't be in. He's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. There's no ifs, ands, or but about that. But there's another example I wanted to use for that I forgot to mention too, and it's Peyton Manning always gets shit about being not a playoff quarterback. Like, you know how many times Peyton Manning got fucked in the playoffs? Do you understand how many times Peyton Manning got fucked in the playoffs? Like, he should have, the year Pittsburgh won Super Bowl 40, Pittsburgh was beat. Mike Vanderjagt missed a kick that went completely sideways off the foot. Completely, like, it didn't even, like, on my TV, it was like, doink! Like, it wasn't straight for a second.
Yeah. Right? Okay, that was the last game he kicked for them too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he went on to kick for Dallas, I think.
Yeah, they cut him after, or he didn't. They didn't bring him back next year.
Yeah, and then the year Baltimore. Look, this is how many Super Bowls Peyton Manning should have won. The year that Baltimore won the Super Bowl against the 49ers was the Harbaugh Bowl.
Yep.
Peyton Manning threw like 4 touchdowns and like almost 500 yards in that game. Like,
yep.
I'm sorry that the guy couldn't cover Jacoby Jones on a deep pattern with 40 seconds left to go in the game.
Right.
But everybody just remembers Peyton Manning threw an interception in overtime. He's not a playoff quarterback. Like, it should have never been in overtime. When you put up 100 yards and 4 touchdowns, you shouldn't be in overtime. Like, period. Yep. Your team's got to play defense, and it shocks me because Denver has always had a good defense. So, like, the fact that they allowed that to happen was crazy. But that was the craziest playoff game I think I've ever seen. Like, that game was nuts.
Yeah, you can't. It irritates me too when, a team loses in overtime in a playoff game and immediately they blame the quarterback. Well, he didn't do it. Or, it's like, well, what about the defense that had the opportunity to stop that team from scoring?
Yeah. Brett Favre gets blamed all the time for the Vikings losing the 2009 NFC Championship game against the Saints because he threw the interception. And 100% he should have ran out of bounds. But he threw the game-winning interception because Brett Favre's a gunslinger and he doesn't run out of bounds, right? Okay?
Right,
so
right.
You give and take. But Adrian Peterson fumbled the ball 3 times in the red zone in that game.
Yep.
That lost him the game, not Brett Favre. Brett Favre just put the nail in the coffin after it was already damn near well sealed.
Well, and he was pressing too. I remember that game. He was pressing, and if I remember right, he had a lot of pressure. He had a lot of pressure on that play. He had a couple of DNs that were just really, they were about ready to meet back there in the backfield with bad intentions, and he had to do something with the ball. And running out of bounds, if I remember right, I want to say that was a 4th down play. So he had to do something with the ball. Running out of bounds was not an option.
No,
because it's game over.
No, I think it was 4th down. But the thing is that he had wide open field. He could have ran diagonal 1st down out of bounds. There was nobody near Brett Favre when he threw the ball. He had guys coming from behind, but he could have went out. I remember watching that game, and I blamed Brett Favre that night for the loss. But it didn't. That's all it lasted for was a night because all I remember was he could have got there.
Yeah.
And he threw the interception, right? But if you go back, Peterson fumbled 3 times in the red zone. You can't do that. Okay, right?
Right.
Like, and I get on Adrian Peterson. He's a Hall of Famer too. But in this instance, he cost the Vikings the game, not Brett Favre. But again, that's just another thing where a quarterback gets the blame for stuff that he shouldn't. Okay, we spent a lot of time on that topic. So, can the Broncos' stale offense find ways to win with Joe Flacco?
No.
Well, that was simple.
Flacco's. I think you're going to see Drew Lock before the year's out. It's going to get to the point where they're going to, Elway's going to realize, okay, we're going nowhere. And it's time to get the kid some reps and get him into live action and see how he handles it.
Right. Here's the thing that I have about Flacco is Flacco is not going to lose you any games, okay? But he's not going to win you any games.
No.
And they need a quarterback that's going to win them games.
You know, Flacco used to throw one of the prettiest deep balls I've ever seen. I mean, it was a beautiful ball. And all of a sudden, he's just become this little dink and dunk passer. And, you know, he's got the arm for it. I just don't understand what happened there.
I don't know. Yeah, the coach. I don't know. I think that part of it's the coaches. You know, they gotta call up more of those plays. I think, but they have. I just read a statistic this morning, and I wish I could remember exactly the numbers. But they showed like most like yards traveled in the air per pass attempt, right? And I know I remember reading it because it clicked to me like Stafford was number 2, right? Is 11 yards in the air per pass, right? Because he's throwing the ball down the field, and then you go look at the least, and Joe Flacco was second least. He had like 5.2 yards in the air of pass travels, like wow, I can do that. Like,
right.
I can do that. Give me your contract. I can do that. Like legit. I mean, it's not that hard to throw dink and dunk pat. Anybody can do that. That's not why you get paid that kind of money. Like, let's go. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like you touched on, I think it's part of the system he's into. You know, he's not. That's what they want him to do, which I don't understand because you know they got some pretty decent receivers on there. You know, 2 young ones, but Emmanuel Sanders, you know that his comeback from injury is nothing short of miraculous. I mean, torn ACL and he's back 9 months later and running full speed. That's just crazy. And he's actually, I want to say I know he's right now is in the top 10 in the NFL for receivers for yardage.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that just they can't do it. They need to get locked in there, and probably the sooner the better, just so he can get shelled a couple times and you know feel what it's like, and then you know brush himself off and go do what he's got to do.
Yeah, he's on IR right now though, so they can't pull it too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, never mind.
So, all right, next question: is Neil a fantasy contender or a pretender?
Oh, I'm a contender every year, without fail.
Yeah, Kraft wanted me to ask you that. So.
Yeah, well, Kraft's just jealous.
All right. We're not going to spend too much time on stuff that the viewers don't have any idea what's going on. So, Kraft actually asked the next question, too. He wants to know how hard will it be to spread the love in New England? With all
I think Josh Gordon's going to be the one that gets hurt on that whole deal. I mean, he's going to have his games, don't get me wrong, because he's a freak. He's fast. And he's going to spring pop free on a couple, and Brady's going to catch him out of the corner of his eye and wing one down to him. But he's not going to be a target monster. AB is the target monster. As long as AB is playing on the field and not on the exempt list, he's the one. I mean, they're paying him to be the number 1 receiver there. So
he's the number 1, no doubt. Edelman's going to be the target monster, though. It's going to be like this is all depending on the whole exempt list thing, right? So saying he stays healthy, it's going to be Randy Moss, Wes Welker, okay? The year Randy Moss scored 23 touchdowns, he did not lead his team in receptions. Wes Welker did. But Randy Moss was the clear number 1, right? Edelman is easier to get the ball to because AB is going to be running down the field with 2 guys on him the whole time, okay? Edelman's going to be sitting around within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, running around. His little body's going to run around out there. He's going to get the majority of the receptions in my eyes. But I do agree with you that Josh Gordon's going to be the one that fades out. He showed it last week. He only had 2 catches for 19 yards. The entire focus in the first half was get AB the ball. After that, they didn't have to throw anymore. So, they just showed that they had to pick which receiver was going to be left out, and it was Gordon. And I think it was pretty clear last week. I don't think there needs to be much there, and I don't know if that's going to work out long term because Gordon's going to want the ball. And I feel like if he doesn't get the ball, if they re-sign Antonio Brown in the offseason, which I don't think they do if he's found guilty of this, but if he's not guilty and they re-sign him in the offseason, I don't think Gordon's going to be there.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing, too, is you got to look at it from Gordon's mindset. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit. You know what? It's just weed. It is not performance enhancing. Goodell needs somebody to kick him right in the taint, to be honest with you. After all that work that he put in, and I've known people who they haven't actually gone to rehab for it, but they've quit like 7-8 times just to start back up again. And I'm talking, they quit for a couple, 3 months and they'll smell it, or it's just available and they're back on the horse again. So, but with him putting in all that work and missing all this time, that's going to irritate him that he's not more involved in the offense.
No,
in my opinion.
I agree and disagree with you on this point too. I understand that it's just weed, and I myself am not against weed. But I also don't feel for Gordon, because if your job that pays you millions of dollars tells you they don't want you smoking weed, don't fucking smoke weed. Like,
oh, no, I wasn't saying that at all. I agree with that. If that's in the rules, like my job, I drive commercial vehicle, and I can't. And, if I get into a wreck and somebody gets hurt, I have to drop immediately for the DOT right there roadside.
Yeah.
And if I drop dirty, I'm gone. And if that person passes away, that was actually somebody who dropped dirty, killed a person, dropped dirty, and they did 25 years, or they got sentenced to 25 years because of it. So, yeah, right. I agree with that whole thing. I wasn't trying to say that, I wasn't saying that at all.
Right. Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page there, because I feel like the NFL should have a softer stance on weed, but if they don't, as a player, it's now your responsibility to follow the rules that your league sets for you. You get paid millions of dollars. I would let them beat me for millions of dollars. I'll do whatever the hell they want me to. They want me in bed at 7:00. Lights out, buddy.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. There's so many people who could just not dream to have your job. So I don't feel bad for you when you get in trouble for stuff like this. I just don't. I do think that they should be softer on it, but if they're not, they're not. Then there's nothing you can do about that besides follow their rules, and I don't feel bad for you. Let's see. With the ridiculous number of injuries, is there something the NFL can do to better protect the players without making the league soft?
No. It's a gladiator sport. It's a violent sport. Players are bigger, faster, stronger. Because back in my day, when I was your age, players didn't train year round. They took a couple months off in the off season and just kind of chilled out, and went on vacation with the family, had a few beers or whatever, and then got back to work. A couple months before camp started. That's not the thing anymore. You got to train year round. You got to train, through diet and exercise and all that. So yeah, there's just nothing you can do about it.
Nowadays, even if people do take vacation with their family, they're on vacation in the gym. Their family's out on the beach, and there's them on Instagram just pumping iron, running on the beach, doing sand drills, whatever. They're still doing their thing. They're not on. I'm sure they still enjoy their vacation, but they still work while they're on vacation. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't just have they don't have leisure time like they used to. And it really is, people don't understand that they really are bigger and faster than they used to be now. That isn't just millennials just trying to talk themselves up. That's the truth. There's facts to back that up. So I agree with you. I don't think there's anything they can do about it. The league's tried to do too much already about it, and it's hurt the game. So just stay out of it. Stay out of it. They get paid millions of dollars. They know the risk. Let it go. Bills, pretender or contender?
Contenders. That defense is legit. The defense itself and the offense, I believe, is good enough to get the job done. They got a great running game. They got a quarterback that can run just as well. He's a little erratic passing, but I was always told when I was in playing ball, there's only one thing that can't be taught, and that's speed. Everything else you can teach somebody. You can teach somebody how to be accurate. You can teach, you can train their muscles to be able to throw farther or jump farther. I think he gets better. He didn't even play a full season last year, so technically I don't even think he's got a full season in yet.
Right.
16 games. So yeah, they're for real. That defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, and keep the game flow, or the what am I trying to say here? Where Buffalo doesn't have to throw the ball, with the exception of maybe the Patriot games. I'm not sure if they play KC this year or not, but game script. They're going to be able to run the ball. That's what they want to do. They want to pound the ball. They want to, get in third and shorts, and if not, then they'll dump it over the middle of John Brown or one of the backs out of the backfield, and on defense they just want to shut you down.
Right. Yeah, I'm still torn because the Bills have had teams that come out to fast starts a lot, and they've only played the Jets and the Giants. I want to say they're contenders. Their defense looks good. Josh Allen looks good. John Brown's looked really good. So, Singletary, how bad is Singletary's injury?
Pulled hamstring. I haven't heard a time frame, but hamstrings are really tricky.
Yeah, those can linger. They can either be okay 100% next week, or they can linger all season.
Well, that's what happened with Carry-On last year. It lingered.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt him because Frank Gore is not gonna be able to carry that.
Well, see, that's why I'm kind of wondering if that might be a destination for Drake.
Could be. If Singletary's injuries lingers, they really could look into that. But would Miami trade in the division though?
I don't think Miami cares at this point.
Yeah, they're going to beat us anyway. So
right, you keep Drake, and you're just going to get beat by 50 anyway. So
right, okay, yeah, I'm torn. 3 of the top 5 most uncatchable balls thrown by quarterbacks reside in the NFC North. Are they nothing but reputation at this point, or too much faith? I want to go ahead and just say that is the most useless statistic I've ever read in my life. 3 of the top 5 most uncatchable balls. When you throw balls out of bounds, that's uncatchable. And most of the time when a QB throws the ball out of bounds, that's a good thing, because that means nobody was open and they didn't try to force the ball. So I know Stafford's on that list. I don't know who else is on that list in the NFC North. I'm gonna guess Trubisky and Cousins probably. But it wouldn't shock me if Rodgers was, because he throws the ball deep a lot. But I'm gonna just assume that it's Trubisky and Cousins. I don't really think Trubisky and Cousins are that great of quarterbacks. I think Cousins is solid. Trubisky's terrible. Stafford's a great quarterback. But I don't think this particular statistic means anything. So I don't know your take on that, but I think you need more information than that.
I did see that list, and it was Stafford was second behind Cam Newton. Cam Newton was the worst overall, or the worst.
A mile, I think it was. It was way more than.
And I want to say he was up around 37%, which is a lot. Yeah. But then it was him, Stafford. I don't remember who was third, but then Trubisky, Cousins. So they were actually, all 3 of them were in the top 5. And yeah, there's so many variants that can come into play on something like that. The arm gets touched and not hit, just, grazed. That'll throw it off a lot. When you're in your middle of your throwing motion. Your foot gets bumped. Somebody's falling at your feet. That'll throw it.
Throw anything.
That's kind of a stat. That's just somebody who's bored and decided to create a new stat, in my opinion.
That was like, you remember 2 years ago when 3 years ago now, when the Lions went to the playoffs and they played Seattle that year. Stafford broke his hand, right, in the game against Chicago towards the end of the season. And he wasn't the same again, right? So, because his hand was bothering him, okay? Well, he came back into that game with Chicago, and they had posted a graphic, Stafford glove changes for most glove changes during his career. I'm like,
Right.
what? Is that the stat? People keep track of that? Like, that's ridiculous. Stafford doesn't wear gloves, so of course that's the most he's ever changed his glove. He plays indoors. Like, he doesn't need gloves.
Right.
That whole stat is just ridiculous. And even if he did wear gloves, who cares how many? I don't care if he changes his glove on every play. Maybe he wants a dry glove. But what the? Like, some of these statistics that they create, like this whole uncatchable balls thing, like I would be more like, okay, underthrown and overthrown balls, who has the most of those? That would make sense to me. Like if they didn't get touched and they threw like a legit ball and it was over or underthrown, if somebody had a stat for that, then I would pay more attention. But I know Stafford particularly throws a lot of balls away.
Yeah.
Okay, he throws a lot of balls away because he's really maturing those last couple of years. And I know it's hard to see last year because he had nobody to throw the ball to last year. But he's really maturing as a quarterback, and he's not trying to force those passes that he used to when he was younger.
Yeah.
A lot of time to throw a lot of balls out of bounds now. And to me, that shows more maturation than anything. Like, and that would count for this statistic. So, there's just too much to go into that. I don't. Me, in my opinion, I don't take that stat into any consideration at all. So you got to make that more specific. So.
Right.
Yeah, nothing. So, is it time for Cam Newton to step down?
I think Cam Newton wants to step down. You and I think I touched on that too earlier this week. That little, just kind of trying to read between the lines and what he was saying in his press conference. And when you sent that to me and I read it, I was looking at that. I was like, well, my first impression was, this sounds like a guy who's beat, who's done. He doesn't want to do it no more. He's lost the fight, or the will to fight. You know, he's lost his fire. And the minute you do that, you better hang him up because you're just going to get hurt.
Yeah,
I also heard today, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but I want to throw this in there too. I heard today that the coaching staff was not aware that his foot was bothering him. They actually found the play where it got injured. It happened during the game. And Cam just didn't say nothing.
You got to say something. You can't tell your coaches that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He matures. He is still a child.
Yeah, that's definitely selfish. I mean, you got to think of your teammates first of all, and give them the best chance to win. And if you can't move around, and because they said it was actually on his 8th pass attempt when the injury happened, and at that point he was 7 of 8 passing. He was throwing lights out, and it wasn't just little dink and dunk passes either. You know, he was throwing some 15, 20-yard shots over the middle to DJ Moore, and but then after that he was like 19 of 37, I believe it was. They said. I mean, it was
worse than that if he started 7 for 8 because he completed less than 50%, and 1937 still over 50. So it had to have been even worse than that.
Okay, yeah, probably was. So, maybe I transposed the number. Maybe it was 13 to 30 something. But yeah, it was. If you get hurt like that, especially at that position where you got to have your foot, even to throw the ball, you got to use it to push off.
Yeah, and for a guy like Cam, who runs all the time, which by the way, -2 yards rushing, they should have known something was up.
Yeah.
So, you need the foot, right? I mean, like I think Stephen A. Smith touched on this on ESPN. Cam Newton, if he's not a running threat, is the worst quarterback in the league. And
I think Trubisky is still.
It's probably close. But I count Cam Newton out because if you watch him stand there and try to throw a pass in the pocket, it's awful. It's ugly.
Oh yeah.
It's just,
Dude, it was ugly when he was at Auburn and tried to do that.
yeah, like I don't know. I think I know we're gonna do our picks in a bit, but I'm just saying it right now. Arizona's gonna beat them this weekend.
Right.
So,
Let me show you something here real quick without revealing too much of my where that. Oh, there it is. I don't know if you can see that or not. Right there, I got the cards picked.
oh, you were off camera, but I believe.
Yeah, I got the cards picked right there.
So we both had the same upset.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have picked the Cards even with Cam Newton. I picked them before Cam Newton was ruled out of the game. I just don't think that they're a very good team, and I don't think they're in good position with quarterback with or without Cam. First of all, they're starting the wrong quarterback this weekend. Grier.
Oh, you're only saying that because you got him in Dynasty.
No, I'm not going to use it regardless. I have a friend who goes to school in West Virginia, so he used to like send me Auburn or West Virginia clips like nonstop. Actually, he'll probably watch this podcast, right? He goes to school in West Virginia, so he sends me clips all the time. Like, this kid is good. He's good.
Yeah.
And he's not going to get a shot because of the offense he played in West Virginia, which upsets me because I want to see people get chances. Like, I don't want him ruled out because of the offense he played in. Like, yeah, a lot of those quarterbacks are bust, but the kid deserves a shot. And I don't know. I think he could be the exception. The kid impressed me. I liked him. That's why I put him in Dynasty. It had nothing to do with that because I think at some point if he gets a shot, he will take off, and that's why I drafted him specifically for that taxi spot.
He's a good quarterback. I actually did watch a couple West Virginia games during his career there, and yeah, he's got a real good. He's another one that's got a beautiful deep ball, and he's fairly accurate too. So on the deep balls, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think their line of thinking is that Kyle Allen is already got a year under his belt in the league, so technically he's the better. I know, but you know how these guys think. I mean, just because you and I don't think that way, you know, it's just like going back to the whole Green Bay running back situation thing. Did you not watch what the rest of America watched? That was watching that game. Aaron Jones is 10 times the running back that Williams is.
I question this all the time when I watch like players play. Right? It was like I can use the Lions again for another example because Zach Zenner used to come in and tear it up, and then they just back on the bench. We're not using you anymore.
Yeah.
And always like what? Like how do you not see what we're seeing? Because everybody else sees something different. Okay, and then they go to cut him this year, and it was just.
You know, it was like that Dallas game. At halftime he had receiving touchdown and rushing touchdown, almost 100 yards rushing, and I want to say
once in the second half.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 30, 40 yards receiving at halftime, and I think he touched the ball like 2 times the rest of the game.
It was once. It was one time. He touched the ball one time. He had one carry, and they were tied with Dallas at halftime.
Yep.
And they never scored again.
Yep.
It was
See, it's decisions like little things like that just added up for me over the years. You know, because I seen that whole dog and pony show since I was a little boy, watching that sorry ass organization and watching them dash my dreams year in and year out. You know, even back, Barry was, him and Bo Jackson were like 1A, 1B as far as talent goes that I had ever seen. And I loved watching both of them play. And I was mad at Barry at first when he left the Lions, but you know what? I applauded him for it after I actually found out why.
I'm not mad at Barry. I'm mad at, I've been mad at Calvin Johnson since he left, because he literally said he left because they weren't winning games, which to me is just being like a little baby, to be honest with you. But like, because like to me, like I've always been raised like you don't quit just because you're not winning. Like that's part of life. So I don't like that. Barry Sanders quit because he had numerous reasons. It wasn't just because the Lions didn't win and they were a poor organization either. He was smart enough, and he said this numerous times, he wanted to be able to walk when he was older. So he wanted to leave while he was still healthy. And when he started, and it was going into his 30s and playing running back for a team that doesn't have an offensive line.
Yeah, I'll dig up the quote for you, but I'm prefacing it, but basically what the quote was that they're not an organization that's going anywhere anytime soon, and he wants to be able to walk when he's in his 40s. So what he's saying is the team's not good, and I'm not going to play for, and kill myself for a team that I have no shot at winning a championship with.
And I don't disagree with that, but see, that's a different scenario for me, because he plays a position where you need a good protection. So if the team's not good and the offensive line isn't good, it jeopardizes your health. Like, so to me, like I dismiss that more than I do Calvin Johnson's. And Calvin, to me, was just whiny. And I know you're not going to agree with me, but he's been whiny since he retired. He's whiny now. I don't like. He was I'm not going to ever diss his talent. He was great, and I loved having him here, and I will always respect him as a player. And he definitely deserves to be in our like Ring of Honor thing. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer without a doubt. Okay. Last question before we start with our picks and our games of the week.
I'm saying we're going to have to get moving because my battery just alerted me I'm down to 25%.
Okay, that's the last question. So,
all right.
Dalvin Cook, is it just a hot start, or is he legit?
Oh, he's legit. I thought he was legit last year. He just wasn't quite over the injury yet. I think I told you before, there's an orthopedic doctor that I follow on Twitter, and he and some of his colleagues are firm believers that, especially with the running backs, because of all the twisting and torquing and stop and start and quick cuts that their joints have to be able to endure. When you tear an ACL, it's like the whole Geist thing. You are not fully healthy until the second year removed from the injury.
So this is Cook's second year from the ACL now.
Right. So he should be good to go, because if you notice, what it is your muscles try to compensate for that tendon is still weak. So, and he was having hamstring problems, which is, according to their research, is the number one injury for players who have endured a ligament in the knee, a tear or some kind of trauma to the ligament in the knee. Hamstring is the number one injury.
Right.
So yeah, it's just he's for real. I mean, I liked him going in, when he was in college at Florida State. I thought, well, actually he would have went in the first round, but he had the whole off-field thing going on, and that hurt his draft stock. But I think that's crock shit too, because I think they just did that to lower his draft stock, to be honest with you.
But I want it because I remember telling people that Detroit should have grabbed him. But then I was super happy when the Vikings did. And I know Brent was the Eagles picked right after the Vikings that were going to pick him. And I remember Brent being upset.
Right.
Got him. I was so happy. But he's for real, and I'm not just saying that as a Vikings fan, because I have facts to back that up. Last year, he was lingered all year with an injury. Okay. Hamstring. We went over that. Okay. All year last year. So he wasn't himself, and he had no offensive line last year. Offensive line this year is way different than it was last year. So
sorry.
So I'm gonna throw last year kind of out the window because of the injury. Rookie year, before the ACL tear, was second in the league in rushing.
Yep.
This
Oh,
year,
he was ripping it up.
yeah, this year, healthy, leading the league in rushing, and it's not even close. Okay, he's 40 yards ahead of Barkley, and I know 40 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you've only played 2 games, to be 40 yards ahead of the second place guy is a ton. Like,
Yeah.
like seriously, like that's the difference between, like, that's saying he ran for 100 and Saquon ran 80, like both weeks, right?
Well, if you extend that over a 16-game season, that you're talking 320 yards difference at the end of the year.
Yeah, which is a shit ton, right? So like, he's killing it right now. And not only is he leading the league in rushing, he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns. So he's not the one, like, he's doing it all. And he can catch the ball. So he's a dual threat. So he's legit. Viking fan or not, he's legit. All right, well, let's move on to our picks then. I don't know if you got them out in front of you or not.
Before we do that, I heard something today that was kind of fascinating.
Yep.
Can you tell me the running back who has the most rushing plays of 15 yards or more so far this year?
Cook?
No.
15 yards or more?
15 yards or more.
Running back. DeMarc Ingram?
No. You want the answer?
Yeah.
And he's done it on 10 carries. Devin Singletary.
I should have known because he had him in fantasy, right? And he's only had like 6 carries and like 8 or 9 carries, right? Like, let's just say.
But isn't that a crazy stat? I mean, I would have thought, when I heard it, I thought it was Dalvin Cook. That's just a crazy stat to me. 10 carries and half of them are 15 yards or more.
That's nuts because Cook's broke quite a few.
Yeah.
So I was
he's had 5 over 15 yards.
That's nuts.
But all right,
when
he
becomes healthy, the Bills are going to have a good running back here. So
you want to kick this off, or you want me to do it? Are we going to alternate, or how are we going to do this?
We can alternate if you want to.
All right.
I'll let you start first. Tennessee, Jacksonville tonight. Who you got?
I got Jacksonville. It's in Jacksonville. I think Titans are going to come back to earth a little bit. I think Jacksonville is going to. They're going to have a spy or possibly 2 on Henry. Wherever he goes, they're going with him. And I mean, Jacksonville's 0-2. They got to get a win somewhere. They're at home. Minshew's actually been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed for somebody who, what was he, like a 6th round pick. So yeah, I got Jacksonville for tonight. That's gonna be a good game though.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people complaining about what primetime game it was, but I don't think these people don't realize that these aren't the same teams that they were back when they were really boring.
Right.
I got Tennessee tonight, simply by the fact that Tennessee owns Jacksonville. I think that they've won like 9 of the last 10 or something like that against Jacksonville, which is absolutely nuts. So Tennessee's got, I think, Mariota's better than Minshew. I think Minshew just had that, he had a great game against Kansas City, who doesn't have a defense. And then last week, I mean, he completed a good percentage of his passes, but he really didn't do anything last week against Houston. He put 12 points on the board. It's not really anything to be. But Mariota's looks pretty good. Even last week, Mariota didn't look bad. I know they only scored 17 points, but Mariota was sharp last week. Henry only got like 70 some yards or something last week on the ground, but I think Henry's gonna go off tonight. He's gonna rush. I think I got him for like about $120. Hopefully, like 5 touchdowns for my fantasy team. But I literally only picked them because of they own Jackson. It's literally that's the reason why I picked them. So, Next game, Cincinnati at Buffalo. I got Buffalo. I think Cincinnati's strong suit this year's been throwing the football. I don't think they're going to be able to do that on Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is too good to do that. Cincinnati can't run the ball at all, and they have no defense. And I don't think they'll be able to stop Buffalo enough to hang with them in that game. And Buffalo's at home, rolling. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the Bills there too. I get for a lot of, well, actually, pretty much all the same reasons you got them. Defense. Cincinnati don't have a defense, and I actually heard a stat today that Joe Mixon is averaging like 1.37 yards a carry at this point. I mean, so they got. I mean, Cincinnati's been staying alive due to Zach Taylor's passing system and John Ross getting behind the defense. That's basically all it is, and that's not sustainable.
Right.
So, so you got any more on that, or?
Nope, that's it. Miami.
All right. Well,
who you got?
who would you say?
Miami and Dallas.
Oh, my list was, I didn't go off the list you gave me. Miami, Dallas. So, I obviously got Dallas. I don't need to even look it up. Miami ain't winning a game this year. I mean, there's not much to be said about this. It's just, half the teams quit. So, why they're even spending airfare on this trip to Dallas is beyond me.
Yeah. I mean, they got to show up. I think that's kind of part of their contract. But there's not much we have to say about this. Dallas is one of the elite teams in the league, and Miami is one of the worst team I've ever seen. So, yeah,
Correct.
we can just go to the next one. Denver at Green Bay. I got Green Bay winning this. I think Denver is one of those teams that are always gonna be in the game. And most of their games are gonna be low scoring. I think that they'll hang around Green Bay for a while, but they don't have the firepower to win these games. Like, they're gonna lose a lot of close games, I think, because their defense is pretty solid. And they looked a lot better. I know they were playing the Bears, so I don't know how much to drag into that, but they looked good last week. They have two of the best linebackers in the game. I think they can neutralize a lot of teams, but again, they have a very, very, very weak offense, and they're just not gonna win games like that. I think Green Bay wins in a low-scoring game, so that's what I got for that. I don't know if you have any more to add to that or what, but
No, I mean, I got Green Bay. Broncos are a long ways away from really competing. I mean, it'll be close probably for, I'm gonna guess, about halfway through the third, and then Green Bay's just gonna, they're just gonna pull away from it. It's in Lambeau. It's hard to win there. I mean, the Chiefs are gonna be doubtful effects, so the whole drill with that. But yeah, I'm good with that.
okay. Atlanta at Indy. Who you got there?
I actually have the Colts on, or I'm sorry, I have the Falcons. I think the Falcons are going to go in there and going to surprise them. It's going to be if this game, I'm not sure what the point spread is on it, but if this game was a 2-point spread, I wouldn't touch it because you just don't know. I mean, Devonta Freeman has not been himself. And I'm not sure if it's the blocking schemes or if he's still wary of re-injuring himself. But I think you're going to see a harder runner coming out this week because of I heard that he had a little conference with what am I doing here? I'm just blanking on the name. Anyway, they had a little heart, and so I think you're going to see him come out and he's going to eat tonight. Matt Ryan hasn't been himself. I mean, the whole team really hasn't been himself. Matt Ryan's got more interceptions at this point than he's ever had in his career.
He got 5 picks already.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I just think they correct a lot of things this week, and I think they come out and win this game.
Yeah, I have Atlanta too. I picked Atlanta. I think Atlanta's schedule is super favorable this year. So I think if anybody's going to capitalize on the Drew Brees being gone thing too, it's Atlanta. Because like I think I brought this up before, but they have 14 games where they're indoors this year, which is I've never heard of that before.
Right.
That's insane. But I don't think Indianapolis has enough firepower to keep up with them with Brissett at quarterback. I know Brissett's played well, but he's not like I'm going to bomb the ball down the field well. Like,
well, and if Mack is out, that hurts even more.
Yeah, and that's what I was just about to bring that up. Is Marlon Mack may or may not play in this game, and that's gonna hurt if he does not play. Atlanta looked better offensively last week if you take the turnovers away.
Right.
They looked a lot better last week, and if they play even remotely close to like they played last week, Indy will not be able to keep up with them on the field. And I think that's the difference in this game. So I got Atlanta in this game. I don't think it's by a lot. I think it's a slim game, but I got Atlanta. Baltimore at Kansas City. Taking Kansas City. I told you, Lamar Miller's got Lamar Jackson. See, it happens to everybody.
You did it this week.
Lamar Jackson has not made me a full believer yet. So this will be the game they can do it, but until he makes me there, I have no reason to think that they're going to be the team that beats Kansas City. And it's in Arrowhead, and I don't like that either. That's one of the hardest places to play a game and win.
I'm picking Kansas City for that reason alone. If this game were in Baltimore, I would be taking Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah, because Kansas City's got no defense, dude.
No, they don't. I know that.
And it's going to be, theoretically, it's going to be harder for Kansas City's offense to score against Baltimore's defense than it will be for Baltimore's offense to score against Kansas City's defense.
Theoretically.
If you look at it on paper,
Patrick Mahomes
that defense is not good.
No,
it is a bottom tier defense.
Yeah, I mean, I have no argument with you. That's for sure. Oakland at Minnesota, what do you got?
I got the Vikings.
I was about to end. I was just gonna.
No, I got the Vikings. It's gonna be. I think the Raiders will be in it for a little while, but it's just the Vikings got too much. Cousins doesn't even have to throw the ball for them to win. And that defense is enough. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a hard time running the ball. He's going to have a hard time finding running lanes. And on top of that, he's nursing a little bit of a bad hammy himself. Terrell Williams is
hurt too.
Yeah, he's hurt. And on top of that, he's not a one. He wasn't brought in there to be the one. He was brought in there to be the complement to AB, and then AB kind of threw a wrench in that whole thing and basically forced Gruden's hand, saying, "Okay, Terrell, you got to do it now. We got nobody else, and we ain't gonna be able to get anybody else." So, yeah, they're not gonna. Carr's not the greatest passer in the world, so I don't give the Raiders much chance.
Yeah, I obviously you know who I'm taking. I got the Vikings, but defense. Okay. Raiders don't have that. The Vikings have a lot of that, and that's going to be the difference in this game. But I don't think this game's going to be close. It's going to be a blowout. They may hang there for a little bit, like you said, maybe the first half. But I do think Cousins is going to throw the ball a lot, and I do think that they're going to use this game, particularly this game, to try to get Cousins into a rhythm, because it's not a good defense. And it's a good matchup for Cousins with Diggs and Thielen to really try to get Cousins in the groove and, get him some confidence built up. So I do think Cousins is going to have a big game. The receiving corps is going to have a big game. Dalvin Cook's going to run all over this defense. I don't think it's close. Jets, New England, I don't have to say much about this game. No Darnold. No Mosley, most likely. I don't think he's playing, right?
No.
New England's possibly the best team in the league, and it's in New England, so it's not even in New York. So, New England, and the game will be over after the first quarter.
You're being generous. Game will be over with halfway through the first quarter. Vegas has got this line opened up. This line at 25.5. That's enormous. Yeah, there isn't much to say about it. You pretty much covered it. Darnold's out, Mosley's out. You got the third string quarterback in there, and yeah, it's just Love is going to run the ball, but that's about all it's not enough. They're going to have to pass the ball to keep up with the Pats. So, yeah, yep. New England by a mile.
Yep. Detroit at Philly. Who you got?
I got Philly. I am not a believer in Patricia. I think Philly being at home, Link is going to be loud. It's an obnoxious place to play in if you're the opponent. It's an obnoxious place to listen to somebody play in if you're a fan of the opponent. Philly fans, you're just, I don't know, they're something else. They're injured, but I believe that Aguilar will be enough to cover. And like I said, I think they're going to get something going with Miles Sanders, and it's not going to be running it up the middle. They're going to do, what I like to call extended handoffs, little screen passes, swing passes, something to get him out in space, because that's where he does his damages in space.
Yeah. I got Detroit. Not a homer pick. I would have picked Philly last week. With the top two receivers being out, I understand it's in Philly. Detroit doesn't win in Philly. But the top two receivers out, if you can't throw the ball, you can't run the ball in Detroit. So I think that poses a lot of problems. They do struggle to cover screens. That's pretty much like their main weakness on their defense is the screen coverage, but you can't run screens all day. Eventually, even bad defenses are going to be able to cover that if you see it coming. I just don't think Philly's going to score a lot of points in this game. I think Philly's going to score 7 to 10 points, and Philly's pass defense is awful. And when you get a guy that loves to throw the ball like Matt Stafford, this is heaven for him. He's going to have a field day on this Eagles secondary. And I think Detroit wins, and I don't think the game's very close. So, Carolina at Arizona, we kind of covered this earlier, not reasons why, but I got Arizona's going to win this game. I think that'll be the first win of the season. Arizona hasn't looked bad. Their biggest problem is they didn't address the offensive line in the offseason. But despite that being a huge weakness for them, Kyler Murray, outside of the first half against Detroit, has looked really good. And the offense has looked really good. David Johnson still sucks, but everything else clicks. He's hitting Larry Fitzgerald looks like he's 24 this year. He had a rejuvenation. Larry Fitzgerald is back. Okay, I thought it was a fluky game against Detroit, right, where Detroit was covering the other guys and just forgetting Fitz, but he did it again last week. He looks really good. He looks young, and it's crazy because he's far from young. I think there's too much offense for Carolina. Carolina can't score. They're not going to be able to score with Kyle Allen. They couldn't score with Cam Newton. So, Christian McCaffrey, they're going to have to use him. He'll get over 40 touches in this game.
Yep.
He'll be the only score.
This game's in Arizona, right?
Yeah, it's in Arizona, which was the deciding factor for me. Murray's looked too good. And I think now is his chance to break out and get that win and show that he's a real deal. So, Arizona.
I got Arizona too. Again, Kyler's actually looked fairly decent with the exception of the first three quarters of the Lions game, and that was because Kingsbury finally got smart about things and simplified the playbook for him. And, like you said, Fitz has come out of nowhere to look like Fitz of 10 years ago. And defenses are going to compensate for that. Once they start rolling coverage over his way, then you're going to see Christian Kirk pop.
Yeah,
Christian Kirk is not slow. Yeah, he's a good receiver. And unlike you, I think David Johnson's a decent rookie. running back. I don't think he is a great running back. I didn't say that. I said he's a decent running back. He's a serviceable running back. He doesn't have an offensive line. He has not had an offensive line in 3 years to block for him. So they have to devise holes because the guys up front cannot create holes. So they have to create holes with their play calling to get defenses to move to certain spots that they want them to move, so David Johnson can pick his whole run. I mean, he actually had a fairly decent game against the Lions. You know, he got hurt, dinged up a little bit last week, and went out for a few plays. But I think it's a decent running back. When is Patrick Peterson coming back? Do you know? Was that a 4 game he got?
No, it was. I think 8.
Oh, 8. Oh, wow.
So
okay.
It was longer than 4. It was either 6 or 8. I thought it was 8. I don't quote me on it, but it was longer than 4. So
yeah, I got cards on that one.
Okay. Giants Tampa. Who you got?
I got Giants. I got Giants beating the Bucs. I think that it's going to be kind of like when Baker came into the game last year, when Tyrod was just ineffective and couldn't move the team. I think Drew Lock's going to give this team a spark. I think he's got a stronger arm than Eli. He's mobile, so you know the pressure is not. He's going to be able to create a little more time to throw the ball. Shepard is going to play in this game. So you know, I think they have enough to beat Tampa Bay. I'm not a believer in Tampa. Tampa Bay has no running game. I'm not a believer in Jameis. I think the old Jameis is going to come back because this is a game that on paper they should win. And for whatever reason, he's not connecting with Mike Evans or O.J. Howard. I mean, Chris Godwin can't do it himself.
Right. No, I hear you. I got Tampa Bay in this game, but I think it's going to be a very sloppy game. I don't like the matchup that Daniel Jones gets in his first game. We kind of went over this earlier. Tampa's defense is good. Way better than people expected it to be. And I think it's going to be about shutting Barkley down. And I think that Mike Evans is going to finally get his wake-up call this week. And I know it probably is not all Mike Evans, obviously, because Jameis sucks. I also do not believe in Jameis. But I think the Giants' defense is absolutely putrid. And even Jameis Winston could probably pick this defense apart. But I have it very like a 13-10 game type. I'm not predicting my score here, but like somewhere in that area of like low scoring, this ugly football. I just don't see that as an exciting game to watch at all. So, yeah, Tampa in that one. Houston at LA. I'm taking Houston in this game. I think the Chargers are banged up, just like last week against Detroit. Houston, I keep, people are saying that they're. I was reading some stuff earlier this week that says that they don't know how the Houston offense really is because of their struggles last week. But Deshaun Watson has always struggled against Jacksonville. He's played 4 games against them, and he's scored less than 13 or less points in three times. So I'm not taking anything from that game. This offense is dynamic, and they're going to score points. So,
well, you know why that is with Deshaun. If you notice, it's been these last 2 games, he hasn't been scoring like he normally does because they found a running back. Albeit Carlos Hyde, but for whatever reason, Carlos has been rejuvenated in this offense. I mean, he's carrying the ball a lot, and I want to say that week 1 he had 83 yards, and he was over 90 last week. So, I mean, and he's got a good yards per carry average. So it's not like he's doing it with volume. He's actually got some good quality runs in there. and that's because defenses are so scared of them receivers that they're afraid to put 8 and 9 in the box.
Yeah, you can't do
And-
that because then Deshaun will rip you to pieces.
Yeah, and Hyde is good enough and fast enough to where you put 7 in the box, he's going to run somebody over.
So, right. So who you got? Houston or Chargers?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got Houston. I took Houston on that one. Just because the Chargers are I think Chargers in turmoil. I mean, there's a little something more going on there. The whole Melvin Gordon thing is a distraction in my book. Mike Williams is still a little dinged up, even though he actually had a decent showing last week. I didn't think he was even going to be able to play from everything I was reading.
Yeah, he was on like a snap count or something.
Yeah, and I just don't see Eckler and holding up, getting as many touches as he's getting. I don't understand why they're not giving Justin Jackson the ball more, because he's actually looked really good carrying the ball. He had, I would say he was double digits on his average per carry against Detroit last week, and that's, like you said, that's a good run defense.
That's a very good run defense. Yeah. So that's here's the thing. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I'm sure you do, because I think I've mentioned it to you before. Is that for some reason the Chargers cannot win in September. They just don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
I know.
They have a terrible record in September, and that's why in the past Rivers has always fallen like one game short of making the playoffs every year, right? Obviously, except for last year, right? But even last year they were 2-2 in September, so it's not like they blew the roof off the place. But they always go like 0-4, 1-3 in September, and that always hurts them at the end of the year because they couldn't win any games at the beginning. And I always preach that like history doesn't matter. But for some reason, this little dark cloud they have keeps following them season to season, and they just cannot get up.
And I forgot all about that. And that even goes back to the LT years, to LaDainian Tomlinson years. They got a great team on paper, and they start out. I remember many 0-4 Septembers, and it's like I had a good friend of mine who was a Charger fan. And he was always stoked for that year coming up, and then they started 0-4, and I'm like, dude, what happened? How is this team 0-4?
Right. You can never figure out the Chargers. I don't know. I think they'll be there at the end, but in September I have a hard time picking them to win anything. Pittsburgh, San Francisco, who you got?
I got the Niners. So Niners look like they're playing some real football now. Pittsburgh is in turmoil. They've got Mason Rudolph. We touched on that. Their quarterback. Who did they just sign for? Mika Fitzpatrick. They just brought Fitzpatrick in.
Trade. Yeah, they trade. They signed Dobbs for a backup QB, but they traded for Mika Fitzpatrick.
But I don't think that their receivers had a real big game last week against the Bengals. Them 3 running backs. I mean, Jeff Wilson had 2 touchdowns, albeit they were goal line touches, but he still got 16 carries. Mostert was up around the 16 carry number, and as was Breida. And they all ran the ball really well.
I know Goodwin scored. I think he had 78.
Did he? Okay, yeah. I do recall that now. But yeah, San Francisco and Pittsburgh's they got a lot going on, and if this keeps up, I don't see Tomlin even making it through the year.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm a Cleveland fan, but I give props where props are due, and Mike Tomlin's a good coach. He's been a good coach.
He is, but sometimes things just run their course. Tomlin will get a new job, or else he won't be without a job. He'll be a head coach for another team. Trust me. I also have San Francisco. I'm not sold on Jimmy G. Like I said, he's very inconsistent, but their secondary has been really good in San Francisco. Like, really good. Yeah. Like, the Bengals, even the Bengals passing offense with Zach Taylor there that you like to rave about, didn't do much until It got blown up because John Ross scored a garbage time 77-yard touchdown, right? But until then, their numbers didn't look good. But that kind of blew it, and I was like, oh, they had a pretty good game. But, like, 77 of them came with, like, a minute to go. Like, with their backups in. Like, so, I mean, San Francisco is good.
And to touch on something that you said, I'm not raving about the Bengals or passing offense. What I'm saying is that's what keeps them in games to this point. That's what kept them in the Seattle game.
Right. No, I hear you. I'm just saying, like, you've told me, like, you've raved about Taylor before. So I know that you think that he's going to do something in the future. Obviously not right now because the Bengals got a lot of work to do. But but I do think that offense will be special. But I think I was just saying that they were able to shut that down, and he's got a pretty good offensive scheme. So I don't see Mason Rudolph and this dysfunctional Pittsburgh team being able to do much against San Francisco in San Fran. So a couple touchdowns wins this game.
Oh yeah.
So
easily.
I don't think much of a problem. Then New Orleans at Seattle. If I picked this game last week, I don't care that Seattle's at home. With Drew Brees, they would have beat Seattle in Seattle.
I agree.
It's not happening now.
No.
It's not. And this game will not be close. Okay? Like, no. I love Teddy Bridgewater with all my heart, but he hasn't played meaningful football until last week in years. So, like, it's going to take a game or two for him to knock the rust off. So this may be the game where he gets that rust knocked off, but it's going to be rough. Yeah.
He's what, 5 years removed from that injury since he's played an actual game?
I think 4 years, yeah. Now he played in a game last year, but it was like garbage time. It was week 17, like nobody was playing for anything. So he did play the whole game in week 17 last year, but he didn't throw very many passes because they were just being conservative, didn't want nobody to get hurt.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't really count that. So last week was his first game action and like real meaningful game action in 4 years. So it's gonna take. I think he'll do all right. Give him this game, and I think he'll play a more close, better game against Dallas next week. I still don't think they'll beat Dallas, but I think you'll see a better Bridgewater next week. But it's gonna be rough in Seattle this week.
Oh yeah.
So just because of that, I'm picking Seattle. And Seattle and Kansas City are the two hardest places to play. You don't just go in Seattle and win.
Well, and Seattle's got a good D-line, too. You know, they're going to get after Bridgewater. I hope for his sake he can hold up. Yeah. But I also heard, too, that, and not that this is going to make a difference, but they're going to be you're going to see more Taysom Hill in this game.
I did hear that, too, but I'm wondering if they're saying that and using that as like a ploy, and whenever he's quarterback, he'll run some type of option type thing, because I feel like
I actually feel you're going to see him throw the ball a couple times this game.
Maybe a couple, but I don't think he'll be like a big quarterback player. Oh. I think it's going to be Bridgewater 90%. Like, so, did you freeze again, Neil? Okay. Anyway, I don't know if we lost Neil or not, but yeah, so I'll just wrap this up quick because it looks like he's really stuck. Rams at Cleveland. I took Cleveland. I think they have enough offensive firepower to keep up with the Rams, and I think that they need a big win, and they'll get it here. And I'm also going to take Chicago over Washington on Monday night just because Washington – they got nothing going on there. Keenum's played pretty well, but that's about it. I think it'll be low scoring. I got Chicago. Thanks for watching today. Both me and Neil went 11-5 with our picks last week. We'll be posting our picks. I'll post them on a post, and we'll keep track of our records. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.